Students, welcome back to history class. In today's class, we'll be discussing regarding the major inventions and the impact of the industrial revolution. First is flying shuttle that was invented by John Kay in the year 1733, and this was used for the weaving cloths. This enabled the weavers to weave twice as fast as before. You can see the image here, the flying shuttle. The next one is the spinning jenny. It was invented by James Hargreaves, invented the spinning jenny. This device could be operated by one person and spin as much as 8 threads at the same time instead of one. This is the water frame invented by Richard Arkwright. It improved the spinning jenny and invented a new weaving frame which is being called as water frame, which was originally run by horsepower but later on by water power. This was much better than the spinning jenny as it could produce tougher thread. The next one is a spinning mule. This was invented by Samuel Crompton in which was combined the good features of the spinning jenny and the water frame. With this mechanical device, stronger and finer threads could be produced rapidly at a comparatively low cost. The next one is automatic loom. This was invented by Edmund Cartwright. This machine is used as an automatic shuttle worked by water power. By this invention, textile production was revolutionized as the speed of weaving became 100-fold faster than the before, while prices fell to half. Next, we'll see the impact of the industrial revolution. Okay, so there were many developments that had taken place due to the industrial revolution. We'll see what are those developments or the positive effect of the industrial revolution. The first point is regarding the domestic system of production was replaced by the factory system. Okay, so those works which were done by the household, okay, the works that they were doing it at home, the domestic system of working now replaced by the factory system. So there were large machines which were set up in big buildings, generally that are located by the side of running streams because it needs a lot of water facility. A number of workers could work simultaneously at the same time in these factories and produce huge quantities of goods at a time. Okay, so with the help of the factories, the number of production or the quantity of the goods was produced at a larger amount. Okay, so the next point is the effects of inventions brought out in various fields of production brought about revolutionary changes for the better, like railway locomotives, steamships, telegraph, telephone, motor cars, and many other things made life more comfortable. Electricity came to be used for lighting and heating, cooking, operating radios and televisions, washing, and also ironing clothes, and many other field. Okay. The next point is industrial revolution led to the establishment of many towns and cities, which is one of the most important effect of the industrial revolution is establishment of towns and cities. Okay, many people from rural area started moving from the rural area to the urban areas for the employment purpose. Okay, so in the cities and the towns also they got good education and there was cultural benefits and enjoyment. Next point is the industrial revolution had increased the national wealth, okay, that made the western nations rich and powerful. Due to industrial revolution, especially the European countries, okay, their national income started increasing and thus they became rich and powerful in the world. So these all are the positive effect of the industrial revolution. So the next we are going to discuss regarding the negative effect, okay. So those include as follows. The first point is the industrial revolution gave rise to capitalism, okay. So a few individuals in society became capitalists, for whom we say capitalist, okay. Capitalist are those people, those who invest the amount, okay. The owners, they invest some amount and thereby they get a lot of profit, okay. So those owners are considered as the capitalist. They cornered fabulous wealth. They earned much wealth due to this industrial revolution and they increased their power and prestige in the society, okay. On the other hand, it created a new group of society, a new group of people in the society, that is the workers, okay. The life of workers became more critical, okay. So their life was in misery, their life was in poverty, depending on entirely their capitalist employers for bread. So they were dependent on the capitalist. If they give work, then only they will have the bread to eat. So such was the condition of the workers. The next point is the ruthless exploitation of workers took place in the factories. They were made to work for 12 to 15 hours at a stretch. Okay, so in a day they were forced to work for 12 to 15 hours. A number of women and children were mainly employed in the factories because their labor was found cheaper than that of men. Their labor, the wage that they paid for the women and children were less than that of the men, so they employed many women and children in place of men. The conditions in the mines were still worse, where women and children had to drag carts like the ponies, okay. Ponies means it's a kind of horse, okay. The employment of women and children in the factories and mines often meant that men had no employment. When they employed many number of women and children, the men did not get much employment opportunities. Sometimes all the workers were dismissed unjustly and arbitrarily. So sometimes the factories is to dismiss or remove the workers abruptly by force, okay. So that time the workers is to suffer a lot to lead their life. The next point, the workers lived in small tenements, okay. So what is tenements? It's a room provided by the factories or provided by the owners, so where there were no facilities for lighting, heating, sanitation and hygiene, okay. So they were provided with a small room, okay, where they didn't have all these facilities. So bad food and poor clothing, slum dwelling and miserable living conditions created hell for the workers. Besides, fever and plague also created a havoc among the working class. So the next point is the Industrial Revolution made the Western nations rich and powerful. So they earned so much of wealth, okay, and they became very powerful among the nations in the world. So they started following the policy of colonialism, imperialism, and the exploitation. They needed cheap raw materials for feeding their machines and worldwide market for their manufactured goods, okay. So when they bring the raw materials and make it as a finished product, and those products has to be sold, and for that they need the market, okay. So for these two reasons they had to occupy a number of colonies and empires, okay. For these two reasons, they needed colonies and empires. Highly industrialized Western nations conquered the economically backward countries of Asia, Africa, and exploited their resources. So they started conquering the countries and from Asia and Africa, which are economically backward. So, which are the countries which were under the control of these Western nations as their colonies? Those are India, China, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Egypt, Congo, and many other countries that became the victim of this Western capitalism and imperialism. These are the positive and negative impact of the industrial revolution. Go through the video. If you don't understand any of the concept, you can ask me.